Oh, you can come.
Oh.
How are you?
Good, how are you? Are you, what's going on?
Oh, I have this workshop from like 12 to 1.
So you're on mute or something?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually, you're not on mute. I'm trying to find who that is. No
Hello.
worries. Okay, I'm just admitting everyone into the workshop. Hello, this is the Unfinished Business Workshop. Welcome, everyone. Nice to see you all. Nice to see some familiar faces. Okay, I am recording. There's a lot of steps to this. I'm recording. I see that message there, and yes, I can do that. Okay. Okay, I think that's everyone. Let me try to figure out how to just allow people to come in. Okay, we took the waiting room off. Let me know if anything weird happens though, like if anyone starts to do weird stuff. If anyone's in here that's not supposed to be, then I'll figure things out. Hopefully we won't have that problem. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get us started. Share. I want to present this. Oh, wait, let's go back. Okay, wrong slide. Oops, sorry. Okay, so welcome again. This is the Unfinished Business Paper Workshop. Oh, okay, that didn't work. Oh, okay. A fun little meme for you. Brace yourselves, family drama is coming. Hopefully, you know, not in your real lives, but you know, it'd be like that sometimes. So anyway, memes are fun. Get us through. Okay. So what is the purpose of the paper? Like why does Antioch make you do this? So you're doing this, you're doing this assignment to understand first and foremost the terms and theories you're learning in class. Oh, am I seeing something in the chat? Yes, I'll answer questions about the PowerPoint after. I'll get to that. So yeah, so first things first is you're using this paper to understand the terms and theories you've learned. So you don't have to choose, I mean, it's up to you what you want to select in terms of unfinished business. The idea is that you want to choose something that is obviously unfinished, that is ongoing in your life, and also something that you maybe like could see yourself or could see coming up for you in clinical practice. Like, you know, everyone has triggers. You know, that's something that people talk about a lot these days. And obviously countertransference is really real in our profession, and it's expected. This is kind of preparing you for that so that in the future you're not shocked or surprised when you have a personal reaction to something that that your clients are bringing into you. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, that's not working. Okay. Oh gosh, okay, it's like a little delayed. Okay, so the overall structure, as you can see, you're gonna, I think in some ways it is similar to the FOO paper in that you're gonna give a description of the family in a relational aspect. You're also going to include the history of this issue that you're discussing. So you'll likely maybe be talking about events current and past in this paper. You are also going to discuss any attempts you made to resolve the issue or forgive the individual or family member. Sometimes this one can be a struggle if you feel like there were no attempts made or something, and that's okay. That's something you can still discuss in the paper. The other aspect or next kind of piece is that you'll examine how this issue has manifested in other significant relationships. So that's right there, triangulation, right? Anybody who's been triangulated into the issue or also, you know, indirectly impacted, or maybe even directly impacted. So that's an aspect of the paper you'll want to include. Multigenerational patterns can come up sometimes, especially if this is an issue like mental illness or alcoholism, drug addiction, any of those sort of things. You can usually see some of that stuff on the genogram, and you can discuss that in the paper. And then obviously a conclusion. Any questions at this point? Feel free to unmute yourself, or you can chat to me. Okay, if not, I will move on. So for the relational issue, right, what is the issue? You are talking about something that is currently happening. So yeah, it should manifest as something not in the past, but obviously if there are things like, let's say you have resolved the issue and like in the present, you can still talk about that journey in the paper, making sure that you include all of those relational aspects that you can apply theory to, as you're, because you're using this as an example to talk about theory. So even if it's resolved now, picking an issue that you had to get to this point to resolve is still okay. Obviously, everything you're bringing in, you're relating to terms and theory. And so this could have the potential to get like really big. So the idea is to try to really narrow it down. Most people find it's easier to choose like an issue you have with maybe one person and really talk about that and delve into that, because obviously the other people that are involved or around you are still going to be discussed in the paper. If it's like an issue, let's say it's an issue with both of your parents or something, you could just pick like the aspect of it with one parent and then talk about how your other parent has been involved in whatever way, just to make it easier. But it's really up to you. It's up to your discretion, just making sure that your examples are all relating back to theory and terms. Is it okay? We have a question. First one, will we be able to take things we directly wrote in the first paper? Obviously there might be some overlap, but try to not, don't like copy and paste from your FOO and put it into your unfinished, like don't do that. Definitely you're doing a rewrite of the issue. It might be a bit repetitive, it might sound similar, but that's okay. Is it necessary to cite ourselves if we use text from the previous paper? So like I said, I would stray away from doing that. Cites, like, yeah, the papers are related, but this is a whole new paper, so we don't want you to be like taking everything from FOO and kind of doing it that way. This is definitely delving deeper into this like specific relational issue, whereas the FOO paper shouldn't have really done that in the way that this paper will. Let me know if that is still unclear. Can you give some examples of relational issues? Okay, so anything with triangulation, most families, most people deal with triangulation. Triangulation is when a third party, whether it be a person or work, activities, substance abuse sometimes, is coming in between the two people that have an issue or having, some kind of relational pattern that is like dysfunctional or maladaptive. So it's, instead of the people coming together and talking about it, there's something in the middle of them. Sometimes it can be like with parents, it's a child. The child is triangulated, the mom vents to the child, then the child vents, and then it's just a triangle over and over. Or it's somebody using alcohol or, or workaholic tendencies to avoid, discussing that they really, are unhappy in their relationship, whatever it is. Whatever's happening and two people are not discussing it, and there's a third thing involved that allows them to not talk about it over and over. So triangulation is a big one. Okay, another, yeah, so that's the one that I think across the board, every single person will have. If you don't have that, there are other more extreme things, such as cutoff, disengagement, even enmeshment, boundary issues. Sometimes there are also filial piety, which is attached to like invisible loyalties. So someone doing something out of obligation to either the family or the culture, and it's, you know, causing them distress, and they're not able to really express, you know, how they really feel to that family member due to that invisible loyalty or filial piety. If that's the case, then that also is triangulation, right? So triangulation, I would say, is a big one if you're struggling to find things. But I know you guys have gotten a lot of, or sorry, you all have received a lot of readings and handouts. So I would refer to those for sure if you're struggling, and try to, what you're doing is you're matching, you're looking at what terms and theories and stuff you have, and you're saying, okay, how does my story or the stories I have, how can I relate these? How do they relate? How do they match? Okay, I think I covered that. Are we able to write about relational issues we're not heavily involved in? Yeah, yes, I have seen that. Pretty much it's a situation where the family is having to adjust, or, you know, it's causing a family structure issue, whatever it is. Even if you're not related, you are related to it. And so what you'll need to do is really talk about how it does involve you, and how it really has restructured the family or changed relationships, changed the way people do something. For example, like family gatherings is a great one. If there's an issue with, let's say, someone's uncle and father or something, and you're not involved in it, but, you know, everybody used to do whatever holiday together, and now they don't do it anymore. So that's a clear, like, there's a change in the pattern, there's a change in a relational aspect, change in the structure of how people would relate normally. Okay, all right, we're gonna move on. Okay, next. So history of the issue, right? Okay, so yeah, the key events which sparked this issue. Yeah, that's a great place to start, is just your key, those key life events. Yeah, try to pinpoint it. It might not be super easy for a lot of things, especially if you are not directly involved in it. So you might be using some speculation or some, you know, embellishing, right, if you need to. Again, this is your family paper. No one is going to come in and say, that's not when it started. It's up to your discretion. It's your, what you interpret it as the beginning of the issue. All right, move on. Okay, yeah, so attempts to resolve the issue, attempts to, or the responses to those attempts. And then if nothing has been tried to resolve it, then what I guess what led to the not trying, or what that prevents it from being resolved. Yeah, what responses led you to not attempting to resolve the issue? So as you see, it's a lot of relational, like, I did this and they did this. They responded like this and I respond like this. So it's a lot of using that sort of language to really talk about this pattern of engagement, or a pattern of disengagement, or whatever. Okay. This is another comment. For what it's worth, in the assignment description of my class, unfinished business seems to be presented as section 3 of the FOO paper. Okay, so I cannot speak to that. It depends on what your section 3 of your specific FOO paper was. So yes, I can't say one way or another, because people are all kind of doing that differently. Maybe if you could elaborate on what section 3 was for you. Yeah. Okay, moving on. Other outside relationships, right? So how does this issue manifest in other relationships that you have? So that could be attachment stuff. That's a great one. Maybe if you have developed an anxious attachment style due to maybe what would be considered an inconsistent parenting or anxious parenting, maybe now in your personal relationships, romantic or otherwise, maybe that is a struggle for you. So that absolutely works. It's a good example. Or it could be, right, you're upset with your mom, and so then your dad, is triangulated, whatever it is. How does this issue manifest with other relationships regarding anyone else? So that's that example. Have those behaviors, traits, etc. been addressed with outsiders and not insiders? So that's, again, triangulation, like blatant, like, yeah, pretty much. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so this is just another person confirming, yeah. So, yeah, I would say try not to think about this paper. This is a unique paper from the food paper. It is supposed to be different. It's really diving into a very specific relational issue. This paper wants you to make sure you're exploring, or that you know how to discuss relational patterns in a clinical way. So instead of saying they get mad at me and I get mad at them, it's I shut down or I withdraw and they pursue me more, right? It's that sort of language. So it's very, very specific. This is not the food paper. Try not to rely on your food paper to write this paper. You may use some aspects of it, that's fine. No one's gonna say like don't do that, but try to think about this paper as its own unique thing. Okay, next, multi-gen patterns. So that obviously, like I'm saying, that is similar. You might have had you might be talking about a similar multi-generational pattern that was found in your food paper. That's fine, but this is different because you're relating this multi-generational pattern to the specific issue you're talking about in the paper. So it would, so if it happens to be, let's say alcoholism is a multi-gen pattern, right? Like so-and-so's mom and then their mom and then their mom, and now maybe they are themselves have dealt with, alcoholism. Yeah, that's absolutely related, and that could be related and very resonant to the unfinished business that you are wanting to discuss. That's fine. So is the issue stemming from something cultural? That's another aspect of a multi-generational pattern. Like I mentioned earlier, invisible loyalties. Some cultures, filial piety is a big deal. It's about giving back to what the previous generation gave you, right? And that sort of thing. You're always kind of owing them a debt, and that kind of keeps, so that's NAJ, and I would assume at this point a lot of you have worksheets or information about NAJ and the different, that's contextual family therapy, and that's, talking about a lot of those hierarchies and boundaries, all that stuff. Okay, the second one, is it stemming from a key event in a past generation, right? So there could be, an issue that was involving grandparents, and now it's just coming on down, into this generation. That's very real. Have certain behaviors, traits, life lessons been passed down? So there could be, I know like some life lessons are, we don't talk about our personal business with strangers, right? And hence cultures, some families are very not interested in therapy because it's like airing your dirty laundry. That is that could be a passed down lesson, and that could have impacts on the person now and what they're experiencing. Damn, what was that? Okay, I don't know. I don't think I have anything in the chat. Let me know though. I heard something. Okay, yeah, so that's multi-gen patterns. Okay, so your page count, the page requirement depends on your professor. So obviously rely on your prompt and your the written assignment that you were given. If your paper is getting long, obviously ask them about it. If your paper is struggling to meet the requirement, it's likely that there's some details or there's some terms and theories that you're maybe missing. I call those missed opportunities. It's like a situation where you've written like something really great, some really excellent, like contextual, detailed example, but then you forget to analyze it and follow it up with theory. So always remember in your examples and the way that you're discussing things that you're using those terms that you're really using all of the worksheets, handouts, readings to your disposal, and that you're applying them heavily to this paper. Like, okay, APA style, yeah, double check if your professors are wanting you to use APA 7 or 6. Technically, some professors are still saying that we're kind of in a transition, but I believe most have switched over to APA 7 at this point. I hope that this, okay, yeah, all right. Oh, I, me, and my. So yeah, for this paper, you can use that because it's a reflection paper, very similar to the FOO paper. If you are feeling concerned about using I or using first person, check with your professor. But for the purpose of this paper, you will be using language like when I, you know, first experienced, blah, blah, blah. So that's how that will go. Okay, in terms of organization within the paragraph, I often see this is like a common thing in the writing lab, that sometimes sentences will get confused because the subject isn't first. So if you're noticing that things are not making sense, it's probably because the subject of your sentence is not starting at the beginning, it's at the end. And there's like a lot of different reasons for writing that way. Some are actually cultural, apparently, which is pretty cool, because some cultures, they get to the point later, so they write it later. Super cool. But for the purpose of this, try your best to start with your subject and then, you know, get into your topic, like it's your topic sentence with all of that sort of stuff. Additionally, right, start with the concept. When you're organizing this in your mind, you are starting with the concept, right? So for example, enmeshment, and then you're finding an example from your family that shows directly how that plays out. So doing it that way can be really helpful, as opposed to trying to like organize all of these examples and like from your family in your mind. Instead, it's more like a pairing game. Like, here are all my terms, here are all of the concepts that I think I want to talk about or want to apply, and then you get to search your mind and say, oh, this example fits perfectly for this. This example fits. Yeah, so yeah, defining the concept, just like in the FOO paper, you know, you will have that citation. What is it? Bowen didn't talk about your mom specifically, right? So making sure that you keep that going like in your FOO paper, not combining them. It's more, you have your definition and then your example, your definition and then your example. Yeah, also paraphrasing is great, you know, restating the concept in your words, and then the example. So this is just a way that you can think about it when you're writing your paper. Yeah, but I would say try to go the easy way. So whatever's easiest for you and is still getting the result, do that. Okay, so here are some examples of unpublished class handouts. Let's see, handout, title, name, class. Yeah. So yeah, so you would have, and a lot of you have probably already done this in your FOO paper, so refer to your FOO paper references for sure, because that's probably going to be an easy like copy and paste, honestly. So however you did your references, especially for your unpublished class handouts, keep that going. I believe this is correct, but APA 7 has changed things, and I don't think this PowerPoint has changed. Okay, so here's where we're getting into the common terms and theorists. Right, I've already mentioned a lot of these, but invisible loyalty, projection, personal authority, roles, triangulation, big one, revolving multi-generational patterns, attachment, and parenting styles. These are all great places to start. Great places to start for if you're not sure, write a list, see what matches in your family for your examples. Okay. Any questions at this point? Gone through a lot. You guys are great. Okay. Additional resources. Of course, your professor. Okay. Especially now, they should be pretty accessible to you. Yeah, so if you're feeling really concerned, if you're feeling like you're not doing the assignment correctly, the best person to check with would be your professor. Even if you come see us at the writing lab, we are still gonna err on the side of what your professor will want you to do because your professor is grading you. So yes, double check with them. They're all super nice. Okay. Oh, and this is where we tell you about sample papers, which are not available, sorry. If you have an interest in receiving this PowerPoint or the sample or a sample paper, I cannot guarantee how fast the sample paper will get to because we don't have any just on hand where it's something we're in the process of working on because we're using like our own and we have to like go in and edit that. But please email the writing lab. I will put our email in the chat so that you can just shoot us an email and say, hey, I would really like the sample paper or I would really like access to today's PowerPoint. That will just make it easier for me to send it to everyone or everyone that wants. Okay. And yeah, we are the writing lab. This is us. We're normally on the 3rd floor of the library, but not anymore. But normally we're there. Now we're online. Also, the virtual writing center is great. They will get your papers back to you within 48 hours, and you just send it to them, and they will send it back to you, with its red pen, all marked up and all of that. But the writing lab, if you come to see us, it's more personal. We'll be on Zoom, and we'll just talk through your paper together. Disability support services are also great. They're there. Their email's here at the bottom. So if you're needing accommodations, please reach out to them. Super helpful. Okay, we got through it. Yay. Any questions? Final questions. Where are we on time? Oh, wow, I got through this pretty quick. So we still have a nice amount of time. Let me stop share. Any final questions? Otherwise, thank you. It's been great. Oh, wait, a little bit. Okay, so we have a question. Can I focus on 2 people in my family if I want to? Myself, my dad, and my mom. Yes, absolutely. That would be great. Okay. All right. Okay, you can always email us at the writing lab or make an appointment. And yes, if you're wanting this PowerPoint, if you're wanting a sample paper, I cannot guarantee how fast the sample paper will get to you, but I am working on it. So just let us know. Thank you for your time. Bye.